Hi guys, I'm back with another video. Today's video is going to be my thoughts on the second and third round of the 2024 NFL Draft. So let's just get into it. So the second round, 51st pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers selected Zach Frazier, center from West Virginia. Now, I am really happy about this pick because the Steelers are continuing to get good offensive linemen, which is what we really need. I heard some good things about this kid. I heard some great things about this kid. You know, he might not be the best offensive lineman in the draft, but he was a starter for the West Virginia Mountaineers for a couple of years. And overall, what I've heard about this kid is that he's a good center, so he can play that position very well. He has intelligence. He has great intelligence with the football. So when he plays his position, he knows what he is doing. And he has a gnarly demeanor. So he doesn't mind pushing other players around. So overall, I think that was a really good pick by the Steelers. If you haven't watched my thoughts on the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft, you guys would know that in the first round that the Pittsburgh Steelers picked Troy Fuanatu offensive tackle from Washington, which I was really happy. I'm even more happy that the Pittsburgh Steelers decided to go with another offensive lineman. It's offensive line needs work, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing a great job, so I'm happy with that. So, who do I think did the best in the second round? I think the Buffalo Bills did good in the second round of the 2024 NFL Draft because they fixed some of their key issues. So the Buffalo Bills lost Stefon Diggs during the offseason, but they decide to draft Keon Coleman, wide receiver from Florida State. So that kind of fixes their wide receiver issue. Now, the Buffalo Bills also drafted one of their big team needs. They needed a safety really bad. And they drafted Cole Bishop, free safety from South Florida. So overall, in the second round, I think the Buffalo Bills did the best. Okay, now it's time for the third round. So the third round, 84th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers selected Roman Wilson, wide receiver from Michigan. So Roman Wilson might be a big name wide receiver in the draft. He's kind of one of the biggest names that the Pittsburgh Steelers picked up. But there is a lot of good things to say about this wide receiver. I've heard a lot of great things about this kid. So this is definitely filling in one of the team needs. Overall, the Pittsburgh Steelers need more wide receivers. I would say the Pittsburgh Steelers needed more wide receiver depth-wise. Before we didn't have a lot of good wide receivers deep in depth. We had wide receivers, but not a lot of them in depth. But Roman Wilson is a good pickup because he's a wide receiver, but he's also filling one of our team needs in wide receiver. Earlier in the offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers decide to trade Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers, and picking Roman Wilson fixes that issue, because before, Deontay Johnson was what was our best slot receiver, but Roman Wilson has a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism. He is a great player. He was a great player from Michigan, and he is a great slot receiver. And overall, I think that was a good wide receiver pick for the Steelers. Now, Roman Wilson might not be the best wide receiver in the draft. I know the Pittsburgh Steelers wanted to draft Brian Thomas Jr., but I think they made the best move in the first round by picking Troy Funatu from Washington. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers also have another third round pick. Third round, 98th pick. The Pittsburgh Steelers selected Peyton Wilson, linebacker, NC State, or North Carolina State. So, I do not know much about this kid. I don't know much, but, really, of what I heard, he's a pretty good dude. He played pretty good for NC State. Really, the Pittsburgh Steelers are good with linebackers right now. I mean, getting an extra one is always good. Really, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers need to focus more on their defensive line, like a defensive tackle. Defensive tackle is a position that the Pittsburgh Steelers have always struggled in. We've always had right ends, we've always had left ends, we've always had linebackers, never defensive tackles. So I think instead of picking Peyton Wilson, they should have picked a defensive tackle. But overall, I still think it's a good pick from the Steelers. So who do I think did the best in the third round? I think the Chicago Bears did best in the third round because the Chicago Bears didn't have a second round pick, but they did have a third round pick. And they're continuing what they have done before. They have been slightly fixing their offensive issues. And in this, they decide to draft Kieran. I don't know how to say that last name. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to butcher it on video. But Kieran, offensive tackle, Yale. So Chicago is focusing on fixing their offensive issues, which I think that's really good for the Chicago Bears, because offensively, the past couple of years, the Chicago Bears haven't been a great team offensively. They have been more of a defensive team. So I like to see that the Chicago Bears are fixing their offensive issues. Now, overall, so far, I have been pretty happy with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL draft. I'm really happy with that. Overall, I think the best team in the draft so far has been the Chicago Bears. So that was my thoughts on the second and third round of the 2024 NFL draft. Please post a comment. What are your thoughts on the 2024 NFL draft so far? Because honestly, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have done pretty well. And I think the Chicago Bears have done the best so far. So, yeah, if you guys like this video, please don't forget to please like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace, period.